When we first think of James Cameron's 1986 sci-fi masterpiece Aliens, our minds automatically jump to the visceral terror of the Xenomorph Queen. We think of razor-sharp tails, acid blood, and these apex predators engineered for absolute biological warfare. They are the perfect organism. But if you look closely at the architecture of the screenplay and look closely at the film, you'll see that the most terrifying monster on planet LV-426 doesn't hide in the ceiling tiles and it doesn't have a second jaw. It actually wears a grey linen suit, sports a feathered 80s haircut and carries a digital clipboard. Because this is Carter Burke, played with a brilliantly deceptive charm by Paul Reiser. In a universe overflowing with nightmares, Burke is the character audiences still despise the most. Today we're going to break down the craft behind the ultimate Weyland-Yutani company man and explore how his addition to the film transforms a standard creature feature into a timeless critique of corporate greed, and also why his specific brand of evil is far more dangerous than the monsters he's trying to exploit. From a directing standpoint, James Cameron pulls off a masterstroke before a single line of dialogue is even spoken, and that's simply through the casting of Paul Reiser. Because in 1986, Reiser was known entirely as a sweet, incredibly relatable, fast-talking stand-up comedian.
To use all three of those in one shot. Your friend will say, "Hey, where's my car?" You go, "I don't know. Didn't I lend you my car last night?" And you go, "Oh, yeah, that's right, you did. Well, where is my car now?" You're not going to believe what happened.
So by placing him in the role of a Weyland-Yutani representative, Cameron deliberately weaponizes the audience's natural instinct to trust him. And during the first half of the movie, Burke actually is the ultimate supportive ally. When Ellen Ripley wakes up after 57 years in hypersleep and is isolated, traumatized, and pretty much stripped of her flight license by a tribunal, Burke is the only person who listens. He brings her coffee, sits on the edge of her bed, and speaks with a warm, conversational cadence. He positions himself as a friendly peer, standing between her and the faceless multi-billion-pound corporate machine. But this friendliness is entirely tactical. Burke isn't there to save Ripley, he's there to manage a multi-million-pound asset liability. Every nod of agreement, every reassuring smile, and every gentle piece of advice is simply a calculated negotiation tactic designed to lower Ellen's defenses.
Has a substantial dollar value attached to it.
They can bill me.
Okay, look. This is an emotional moment for all of us, okay? I know that. But let's not make snap judgments, please. This is clearly an important species we're dealing with, and I don't think that you or I or anybody has the right to arbitrarily exterminate them.
Wrong.
He doesn't possess any hidden, heroic impulses waiting to be revealed under pressure, and there are no moments where he accidentally does the right thing. And from his first scene, Burke is a completely pure, unadulterated, white-collar parasite who views human trauma merely as an administrative hurdle to be cleared. And this brings us to the core thematic layer of the film, and that's the absolute dehumanization of corporate logic. The xenomorphs are undeniably brutal, but they are driven entirely by evolutionary survival. They hunt to feed, to breed, to protect their hive, and to propagate their species. There is no malice in their actions, no cruelty, no deception. And as Ripley famously points out to Burke in the heat of the second act, you don't see them screwing each other over for a financial percentage. Burke, however, well, he possesses a uniquely human capacity for premeditated betrayal. He's a mid-level director for Weyland-Yutani's Special Projects Division, and his entire world is dictated by a spreadsheet.
Tell me one thing, Burke. You're going out there to destroy them, right? Not to study, not to bring back, but to wipe them out.
That's the plan. You have my word on it.
Before the Colonial Marines are even mobilised, it is Burke who sends a secret transmission to the unsuspecting colonists of Hadley's Hope, ordering them to investigate the coordinates of the derelict alien spacecraft. He sacrifices an entire colony of men, women and children before the movie even begins fully, simply because he wants to secure the exclusive patent rights to a biological weapon. What makes this so profoundly relatable for audiences today is the sheer coldness of his bureaucracy. Burke doesn't hate the Marines, and he doesn't hate Ripley. To him, their lives are simply acceptable numbers on a balance sheet. He represents that deeply modern corporate horror we see every single day, where executive decisions made in pristine carpeted boardrooms miles away from the real world can have human catastrophic effects. He is the personification of an institution that views empathy as financial liability. The true turning point of the script is the moment Burke transitions from a sneaky corporate sleazebag into an outright monster, and this occurs in the medical lab scene. Realising that he cannot smuggle a live xenomorph specimen past Earth's quarantine customs if the colonial marines are alive to testify, Burke locks a traumatised Ripley and a helpless young girl, Newt, inside a room with 2 live facehuggers. This isn't just a sudden impulse, it's an act of calculated, systemic elimination. If Ripley and Newt become hosts, Burke can easily freeze them in hypersleep, fly them back to the company laboratories and claim millions, if not billions of pounds in corporate bonuses. He does it all without ever lifting a weapon or raising his voice. He simply presses a digital button on a console and walks away in the dark. And this is where his narrative function becomes completely vital to the film's pacing, because in an action movie filled with heavily armed, hyper-masculine space marines, Burke provides the ultimate psychological friction. The Marines are prepared to fight a physical enemy, and which they can see and shoot, but they are completely unequipped to handle an enemy who undermines them from within. His ultimate demise all comes in the ultimate thematic payoff. When the Hive finally breaches the command center, Burke doesn't stand and fight with the Marines. He instead slides and slinks off through a heavy hydraulic door, locking his own allies outside to be slaughtered, completely convinced that his own survival is the only thing that matters. But the universe of Aliens doesn't care about corporate hierarchy, and as Burke turns around in the dark corridor, he finds himself face to face with a xenomorph, and in his final seconds, his clipboard, his title, his tie, and his corporate authority, well, they evaporate into nothing. He discovers too late that you cannot negotiate, compromise, or settle a contract with an apex predator. He is the definitive representation of the middle manager who cloaks extreme predatory exploitation in the friendly, accessible vocabulary of human resources. By including Burke in the movie, James Cameron elevated Aliens from a magnificent sci-fi action film into a profound exploration of human value. He reminds us that while the monsters lurking in the dark are terrifying, the true horror occurs when the people we trust to protect us decide that our lives are simply a price worth paying for a profit. So thanks for watching, and if you want to keep deep diving into the hidden craft of screenwriting mechanics and structural secrets behind some of your favourite films, make sure to smash that subscribe button and let me know your thoughts on Carter Burke in the comments below. We'll see you in the next video.